And Mayor Giles, we have a quorum. We can start anytime you're ready.
Hey, thank you, Eric. I'll just begin by noting the obvious that our thoughts and prayers are with Jerry Wires, who's the chairman of this organization. I've heard that he's on the mend and will be back with us before long, but we just want to express our appreciation to him and our well wishes for him to be back with us as soon as possible. I'm Mayor Giles, the vice chair, and will fill in and conduct the meeting today. So I'd like to welcome everyone and call this virtual meeting of the MAG Executive Committee to order. Please remember to mute your device when you're not speaking. We'd like to particularly give a warm welcome to a new member, Mayor Alexis Hermosillo. Mayor Hermosillo from El Mirage. Alexis, it's good to have you with us. We're all looking forward to, those of us who haven't met you in person, to someday, maybe, possibly welcome you in person to your new position. But we look forward to working with you and want to make sure you feel welcome in this meeting.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited to be part of this committee. So I really appreciate all of the support, and I'm looking forward to working with everybody.
Thank you. Well, congratulations. We're excited to have you be a part of this group. Item 2 on our agenda is the call to the audience. Members of the public were asked to submit written comments related to this meeting through the MAG website. Comments may be sent at any time leading up to the meeting, but must be received at least 1 hour prior to the posted start time for the meeting. This is the opportunity for the public to comment on items that fall under MAG's jurisdiction and are not on the agenda, or that are on the agenda for discussion and not for action. MAG staff, have we received any comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. We've received no comments for this item or any other item on the agenda. Okay,
thank you very much. Having that being the case, we'll move on to agenda item 3, which is approval of the consent agenda. Okay, thank you. I'm going to entertain that motion in 2 seconds. As soon as I got to read a script, guys, this is like, when Dr. Seuss week, where you pull out, I can read it and show you the pictures if you'd like, but items 3A and 3D through 3D are on the consent agenda. As an update, items 3B through 3D were recommended for approval by the management committee on February 10th. Thank you. Was it Kevin? Were you the one that made the motion?
Yes.
And who seconded it?
I'll second it.
Thank you.
This is Les.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on that motion? If not, let's go ahead and vote on the motion. I think Melissa will take a roll call vote. Is that right, Melissa?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll call your name. Please indicate how you vote. Mayor Gallego?
Aye.
Thank you. Mayor Hartke?
Yes.
Thank you. Mayor Hermosillo?
Yes.
Thank you. Mayor Peterson?
Yes.
Thank you. Mayor Weiss?
Yes.
Thank you. And Mr. Chair, how do you vote?
I vote aye as well.
Okay, that consent agenda carries unanimously.
Thank you. Item 4 on our agenda begins the items to be heard. The next item is the annual performance review of the executive director. Could I have a motion to recess the meeting and go into an executive session to discuss the evaluation process for the MAG executive director's review?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. Mayor Weiss has made the motion, seconded by Mr. Peterson. Melissa, will you please take a roll call?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll call your name. Please indicate how you vote. Mayor Gallego?
Aye.
Thank you. Mayor Hartke?
Yes.
Thank you. Mayor Hermosillo?
Yes.
Thank you. Mayor Peterson?
Yes.
Thank you. Mayor Weiss?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, how do you vote?
I vote aye as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So just logistically, Eric, maybe you can help us. I think we should all see a white box on our Zoom screens. Is that correct? And then there we go. Look at that.
There it is.
One popped up.
And
so it's not overly complicated. We just click this box and we'll see you at the other side.
Okay, Melissa, everybody except Amy is in the breakout session right now.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
No
Okay,
problem
thanks,
at all.
Craig. Is Nathan in there too?
No, he's not. Does he need to be?
No, I was just asking.
Okay.
I'm just texting Eric. I don't know that he necessarily needs me there.
Okay.
So that's why I haven't joined yet. I just want to give you a heads up.
Okay. Yeah,
if Eric
Melissa said
doesn't
you'll be a
respond,
maybe.
Sorry, what's that?
Melissa said you'd be a maybe. So
Okay,
she wasn't
no,
sure.
I definitely appreciate that.
Okay.
Appreciate that opportunity.
Okay.
But just, I'm gonna hang here unless he tells me that he wants me there.
Okay. Yeah, the only MAG staff member in there is Eric, and then
Okay.
Sam Kaufman, and then obviously the committee.
The members. Okay, perfect. No, that sounds appropriate. Thank you. I
All right.
appreciate the effort on that.
No problem. You're very welcome.
right.
Hello.
Welcome back. Have we successfully reassembled? I don't see Mayor Peterson. Are you there, Les? All right.
It's possible that he hit the leave meeting rather than a leave.
Yeah.
room.
He's still in the executive session. I went ahead and closed out the group, so he'll be ejected in about 45 seconds.
Okay, thanks. So I know we need both Mayor Weiss and Mayor Peterson. Mayor Weiss, you're not with us yet. There we go.
Here I am.
Okay. We're waiting for Mayor Peterson.
Hey, Kevin,
Yes, sir.
are those real clouds behind you, or is that just part of your window film?
No, those are real clouds behind me. So I've got
Just
it.
wanna make sure.
I'm trying to do a little different view, and I like the fact that I've got clouds and it shows well.
All right, we have Mayor Peterson with us. I believe MAG staff, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we are entirely reconvened now as an executive board. So we will go ahead and reconvene our regular meeting. So just to conclude or wrap up this agenda, we are still currently on agenda item 4, which is the annual performance review of the executive director. This item is on the agenda for information, discussion, and possible action to approve the survey instrument and evaluation process for the MAG Executive Director's performance review and discussion and consultation concerning the process for the MAG Executive Director's annual performance review. Council, is there a motion to approve the performance review instrument?
So move with the direction also given in our previous session. Is that appropriate?
Well, why don't you articulate? I'm not sure that it is. Sam?
No, but it's not appropriate to the extent of repeating executive session confidential information, but you could certainly, in addressing the item, make any other motion you feel is appropriate.
Thank you. So Mayor Hartke, if in addition to approving the instrument, if there's anything else you'd like to include in that motion, we'd welcome that.
Sure. I would also add the addition of a job description. The first motion's taken by Eric, and I believe that covers it.
Thank you. Would you like to include performance measures and objectives?
Thank you. Yes, I would.
Okay. Thank you. So we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second, Mayor Hermosillo.
Thank you, Mayor. Is there any discussion on that? If not,
And the friendly amendment motion, the performance measures, it would be both developing suggested ones as well as sharing peer organizations.
thank you, Mayor Gallego.
Perfect.
All right, thank you. Any additional discussion, Council? Hearing none, Melissa, would you please take the roll call?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll call your name. Please indicate how you vote. Mayor Gallego?
Aye.
Thank you. Mayor Hartke?
Yes.
Thank you. Mayor Hermosillo?
Aye.
Thank you. Mayor Peterson?
Yes.
Thank you. Mayor Weiss?
Aye.
Thank you. And Mr. Chair, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Thank you. That motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much. Item 5 on our agenda is a discussion of the development of the fiscal year 22-23 MAG Unified Planning Work Program and annual budget. MAG Senior Accountant Amy Eppley will give this report. Welcome, Amy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee members. As you know, MEG is currently in the process of developing the biennial Unified Planning Work Program and budget document for the fiscal year 2022 and 2023. As the EPLOT makes its way through the committee process, the information is presented incrementally for information and discussion, with the final draft presented in May for approval. In January, Meg provided a draft of the proposed member dues and assessments, as well as the budget production timeline. This month, we are presenting a draft of the proposed new projects for information and discussion. And that concludes all I have for the updates for this month, and I'll be happy to answer any questions or if there's any comments.
Thank you, Amy. Mayors, are there any questions on this agenda item? Okay. Hearing none, this item is on the agenda for information and discussion only, so there's no action required. Thank you again to staff for the presentation. Item 6 on our agenda is the legislative update. MAG Policy and Government Relations Director Nathan Pryor will give this report. Nathan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the Executive Committee. I'm going to focus my presentation and comments on Senate Bill 1650. As most of you are aware, this is the bill offered by Senator Livingston, really in two main parts. The first of which is a statewide gas tax increase index for inflation. And the second part is relating to enabling legislation for the Maricopa County region for going back to the ballot for the regional sales tax for transportation. We have voiced concerns about the bill as proposed. Thank you to leadership in particular, Mayor Giles, Mayor Gallego, Mayor Wires, and especially in their role as regional council and TPC leadership in working on this issue with Senator Livingston and Senator Pace, who chairs the Senate Transportation Committee. Really appreciate that outreach from you all. And of course, a number of our member agencies have weighed in with comments and concerns along the way. This bill was scheduled yesterday to be heard in Senate Transportation Committee. Ultimately, that bill was held. So we will track if and when it does come back in some form. However, this week is the deadline for bills to be heard in House of Origin, Committee of Origin. So that deadline is now passing for Senate Transportation Committee. Although with the legislature, it's never over till it's over. There's always procedures that bills can come back in some form. So we'll be monitoring and tracking any developments if the bill does come back in some form during the legislative session. Once again, thanks to our member agencies for all the conversation with legislators on this issue. We really do appreciate it. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Nathan. Mayors, questions for Nathan regarding this legislative update? Mayor Weiss.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Nathan, as part of the West Valley Mayors and Managers meeting last week or 2 weeks ago, I lose track of time, Senator Livingston had spoken about his bill and the support that he had not only in the legislature, but also possibly with the governor. Can you kind of give us some insight? You said the bill was held. Is there any hope for this bill at all, or was it just, can you give us some insight into that?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mayor Weiss. We are still tracking developments regarding why the bill was held. Clearly, when you look at who signed in support, neutral, and in opposition, it was really all over the place for business community, cities and towns, other associations. So hopefully the messaging really has gotten through, in particular to Senator Pace, who chairs the Transportation Committee, knowing that, again, leadership had a conversation with him recently about the concerns that really helped kind of inform our concerns about the bill and any progress it would have moving forward. So continue discussion with our contract lobbyists, the continued conversations with legislators and legislative staff. So trying to get a better understanding of some of the developments behind why the bill was held.
I think a couple of the things that popped up for me and for my team were two. One was the increase in the gas tax, and the governor's come out publicly and said he's not supporting any new taxes, and that was an issue. While we all agree that the gas tax should increase, I don't know if this is the best time for that The second was 3/4 cent. And part of that came out with just the amount of Prop 500, the percentage kind of in the air right now. Is it going to be a half? Is it going to be 3/4? Is it going to be 1 cent? And I think Senator Livingston was trying to split the baby by saying, okay, there's an argument for half, there's an argument for 1, let's do 3/4. Again, this isn't, in my opinion, by making it 3/4 does not make it an extension and makes it an increase. An extension would be a half cent sales tax going forward. I think at some part, MAG is going to have to decide, and probably pretty quickly. Maybe Eric, you can update us on where are we at with the percentage. Is it going to be a half? Is it going to be 3/4? Is it going to be a cent? I think we need to have that sooner than later. Am I off base on that, Nathan?
Mr. Chairman, Mayor Weiss, clearly the bill as introduced was going to have a number of challenges for, as you described. Statewide gas tax is not without a lot of conversation and concern around the state, obviously. And then the provisions regarding the region at a 3/4 cent. Clearly, the message has been that the region is working on its long-range transportation plan. And that plan is scheduled to wrap up in the summer months. The way the bill was written, it was very prescriptive about modal buckets, if you will, going back to Proposition 400 and what's been developed after Prop 400 was created and the plan elements therein. It's just not simply a straight line, if you will, from Proposition 400 to the next plan and the enabling legislation that's going to support that. A lot needs to happen in terms of conversations around transit in particular. So that was just some of our concerns with the modal buckets, if you will, and the percentages as to where the funds were going to go. Again, our message has been consistent. Let's let the plan process play out. Let's see where the modal buckets are. Let's see where the member agencies are in particular with regard to meeting their needs. And of course, there's going to be a lot of conversation to come around some of the political dynamics. What will the voters support in terms of staying at a half cent or moving above that? So again, our message has been, let's wait for the plan development process to play out. Let's have a better understanding of regional needs. And of course, that other side of the equation, the revenue side as well. So we're optimistic that that message is resonating now with members of the legislature, that a lot more work needs to come from the region, and we'll be back at a more appropriate date regarding enabling legislation.
Yeah, Nathan, I think you did a great job in summer. Just to add a couple of things. One, we are out in the field right now on a public opinion poll, which is going to be real key in terms of not only gauging kind of where people are relative to transportation, but also the willingness to pay more. So that's going to be an important aspect. If you're asking taxpayers to increase their investment in transportation, one of the factors is their own financial security becomes a really important part of that. And given the pandemic, and we have a lot of people hurting out there economically, so it's going to be really interesting to see the results of that poll, and it may inform us in terms of our strategy moving forward. It either we could find that, hey, things are okay, things are getting better, and by November 2022, which has been our target date for the ballot, things look good, or we may find that there is no appetite to increase anything above a half cent at this point in time. And then we're back either to decide, well, do we wait for the economy to improve to put it on the ballot, or do we stick with a half cent? And so, once again, I think the data, that the information you're looking for in terms of what you get under these different funding scenarios will be playing out over the next 2 months. March and April, I think, would be real key to that. So look forward to that. One of the comments I would make on Senate Bill 1650, and I made it at the West Valley Mayors and Managers meeting, and Senator Livingston made the statement that it would double bus service in the region. That math just doesn't work. And in fact, the way the bill was structured at 3/4 cent with the different funding buckets, the bus operation component increases about 12 to 13% over Prop 400. And so you can imagine we're not talking about a doubling of bus service, we're talking about maybe 10%, maybe. So once again, we live these numbers pretty much on a daily basis. And, we shared that with Senator Livingston too, that the math just doesn't work. So again, I think that's another example of why it's important to really understand what these trade-offs are before we engage in the legislation.
Thank you. Mayor's other comments on this? I'll just say that I see it as a positive that the 1650 didn't go anywhere. I think I'm looking forward to Mayor Gallego and the TPC coming up with a policy here in the very near future, and looking forward to working with Senator Pace so that a year from now, hopefully we have a bill being heard by transportation that's something that we endorse and that reflects the policies that we want to recommend coming out of TPC. So I think this
Mr. Chair, can I make one last comment? And I promise I'll be quiet for the rest of the meeting. Nathan touches on something, and so does Eric, about how the money was to be spent in Senator Livingston's bill. And honestly, it has to be up to the cities and it has to be up to the regional council to decide that. We know what's best for our residents. And while light rail probably will never come out to Avondale in the West Valley, I never say never, but I'm going to say never, that there shouldn't be a restriction on other cities that need to use that funding for what they want to do, just as there should be a limitation on bus service, which is so important to Avondale and Goodyear in the West Valley, a limitation on that. It should be up to the city and the boards to decide what money we need and the percentages that we need to make those goals happen.
I think we all, no one's going to disagree with that. Ken, I agree. Thank you, Council. Any other comments on this item? Okay, this again, this update was on the agenda for information and discussion only. We'll now move on to agenda item 7, which is any requests for future agenda items from the membership. Any requests? Okay, that being the case, next I close it. Last agenda item is, are there any comments or announcements from the membership? Seeing none, I think we're ready to adjourn this meeting. Thank you very much, mayors. We know your time is valuable. Look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you all.
Thank you. See you soon.
Have a great day.